Yo, you're rocking with Headcan and Graps. This is Graps Theory, and today we're going to be covering one of my favorite up-and-coming wrestlers. I'm not even going to call her up-and-coming because I picked her to be my Women's Wrestler of the Year for 2024, and it's Willow Nightingale and her journey to the top of the women's AEW division. And we're going to talk about different people she'll be facing along the way, different championships she could possibly win, and also the catalyst and the main story that gets her to the top of the division. But before we dive into that, we have other Graps and Theories videos that cover the transfer window, talking about who can be swapped back and forth between SmackDown and Raw currently in WWE, and who might go where for WrestleMania this year. We're talking about what's to come with this New Day and what's going to happen next with Kofi and Xavier, and will Biggie get involved again? We talk about that. We talk about what's going on with Jade and who attacked her and the possible suspects behind that. And we finish the women's IC title tournament that's going on currently on Raw, and it's going to finish on Monday, tomorrow. This is Sunday 5th at 2 a.m. Currently, Wrestle Dynasty's going on in the background. So hey, now's the time to jump on that women's IC title video. But enough about that. Let's talk about how Willow gets to the top of this roster. Kicking off with how she got to the roster in the first place. Being that May 3rd, 2021, she debuted on AEW television, wrestling on various different AEW shows here and there, while not having a full contract with the company just yet. On October 21st, 2022, Willow Nightingale finally becomes All Elite and becomes a full-time member of the roster. And she does not take long to really show out for the whole team, whether it's her representing for New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong and being the first ever women's champ for that brand, representing AEW, but then coming home to AEW at Forbidden Door, challenging Toni Storm for the Women's World title in a losing effort. At a show I was there for live, Willow showed you a lot of potential even in that match, with Toni having to be the valiant babyface fighting off the social outcast. And though she lost, you could see the potential there and where she might go in the future. And even with that loss, the next month she would rebound in July 15th, 2023 by winning the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament alongside Ricky Starks. This then allowing her to propel herself into her second challenge for the world title after winning a four-way match on Dynamite to challenge Hikaru Shida for the title. Once again in a losing effort, but getting even closer than she did against Toni Storm and showing you the potential of where she can go as a star in the women's division. But Willow's quest for gold would have to take a pause for a personal rivalry going on with former friends Sky Blue and Julia Hart. A rivalry that would last from 2023 into the end of March 2024. This involving Chris Statlander and revolving around the TBS title, with Julie Hart challenging Chris Ford and eventually beating Chris Ford in a triple threat. Sky Blue winning her shots at the title but not getting it. Willow winning her shots at the title. And then the tag team of Chris and Willow taking on Julia and Sky Blue in a street fight. Sky Blue, who had been turned to the dark side due to a mist that was spit out by Julia Hart, and Julia Hart, who was turned to the dark side by the House of Black originally, years ago, by their mist as well. Once that feud subsided, it was back onto the quest for gold, with Willow winning a fatal four-way again to then earn a shot at Dynasty to challenge Julia Hart for the TBS title. In this match that I was there for live, Willow would then defeat Julia Hart to win the TBS title. A great moment that was quickly overshadowed by the CEO coming out to make her declaration that at Double or Nothing she wanted her title shot at the TBS title. That once we got to Double or Nothing, Monet would then defeat Willow Nightingale for the TBS title, taking that off of her on May 26, 2024. But her title would not be the only thing she lost that night, due to the fact that Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway both turned on her, ending their friendship and making their declaration that she wanted revenge on Willow. Revenge for what? We'll talk about that later on. But then Willow took a small little break away to recharge from the beatdown and the loss, to then come back and challenge in the Owen Hart tournament year 2 in a row, knocking out Kris Statlander in the opening round on July 3rd, 2024. The one thing that wasn't focused on the most, though, was the effect that Stokely was having on Kris the entire time of their relationship. Kris lost the TBS title to Julia Hart, and after that was going on a losing streak of her own after defeating Jade Cargill for the TBS title. Jade, who had been undefeated her whole career, and then defeated her a second time in a row. So she was the streak beater. But then was defeated by Julia in a 3-way, but then couldn't get the belt back from Julia. Would end up losing to Sky Blue, and her confidence was just shot. And so Stokely was feeding on that. And though Willow was having her struggles with winning and whatnot, Stokely was trying to feed onto her as well. Willow was not really buying into Stokely's nonsense as much. And it would culminate in Double or Nothing with Stokely getting involved and helping Mercedes Moné win through a distraction. And also attacking Willow after the match with Kris, making their declaration that Willow was holding them back. But Willow went to Mexico instead of complaining about this in the past, and focused on winning more gold. And she would go on to win the CMLL Women's World title down there July 13, 2024. Bring that back to AEW, where in a eliminator match is being a match that can qualify you for a title match if you can beat the champion down the line. Well, Kris Statlander would end up beating Willow in this match, qualifying for a CMLL title match down the line. A match that would actually never come, but the match that would take its place is one of legend, and another match that was there for live as well. That match being Stokely and Kris versus Ishii and Willow at All In London on the 0 hour. I'm just playing. I wasn't there for that live. Wanted to be there. Wasn't. The match I'm talking about, that's coming down the line in Chicago, but we'll get to that. Willow, though, wins the tag match at All In London, and it leads to a sit-down with Renee Young, Willow, and Kris on September 6, 2024, where Kris finally airs out her grievances, saying that, hey, while you were champion, you never gave me a shot at the title, but if you remember when I was the champion, Battle of the Belts 8, I gave you a shot at the TBS title. You lost, but I gave you your shot. I was looking for my shot from you, and you never gave it to me, but yet you gave it to Sky Blue and other people from other companies, but you never gave me a shot. And then you went and lost to Mercedes Moné. And it was always all about Willow, but now it's not about you anymore. It's about me. And Willow, in her retort, talking about, hey, I know Stokely's been in your ear. I know Stokely's been driving this wedge between us. And if you really talk, we could talk about it, but we will deal with this in a street fight. And it leads to the Chicago street fight at All Out. My favorite match of this show that I was there for live. Some of the craziest spots. Kris hitting the splits and some thumbtacks. Drivers on thumbtacks. The chain choke out. The spear through the table. Just a war using light tubes to smash on each other's head. And I don't think people understand like the gravity of this match. A great match there to watch live on TV, but to be there in the building live for it previous, we had an amazing match from Will Ospreay and Pac that had some of the craziest aerial moves and flips and just things you don't normally see in pro wrestling. And so to go from that, and for the girls to have to follow that up, and for the performance and the heart and the energy they put out there from the jump of that match, the match was going crazy. It was, to me, those two matches are the highlight of that night. And to me, I lean more on that street fight more than I do the match with Pac and Will Ospreay. So those girls won people over that night. And to this day, people talk about that street fight in glowing terms because of how hard and how great that match was.
That's my bad boy.
These women put on a showcase in Chicago. And though Kris Statlander won on September 1st, this would not be the end for Willow this year, because she would earn her way and work her way back to then getting a shot against Mariah May at Wrestle Dream for the Women's World title. That she almost won, but then Mariah May, through cheating means at the very end, was able to escape away with the title, and thus showing you she almost had the belt in this match. She almost won, but she just came up just a little bit short. As I record this video, there's a fatal 4-way for CMLL, ROH, AEW, and startup representation that has Willow Nightingale in it. That's happening in Japan currently. She had to qualify for this match by defeating Serena Deeb in the opener and then going on to face Jamie Hayter in the last round of Collision to qualify for this match. And so hopefully she has a great showing in this match. I don't believe she's going to end up winning this match. I think Momo will end up winning the match in the end. But I think this leads to Willow coming back from Japan. And this is where we start our story with the CEO, Mercedes Moné, coming back from Japan. Also at Wrestle Dynasty, having a winner-take-all match with her titles on the line against the Rev Pro title. And her coming out against Mina Shirakawa as the new Rev Pro champion, having 3 titles, having her New Year's declaration about how great she is, and it's going to lead to Willow Nightingale coming out. Willow challenging Mercedes for another shot at the TBS title, calling back to their Double or Nothing match, and the fact that Willow had her beat if it wasn't for Stokely and interference, and the fact that Willow wants one more shot against Mercedes. Then Chris Statlander comes out. And though Chris has had 2 in a row against her, Chris knows that with the 3rd chance, she can defeat Mercedes Moné and become the TBS champion once again. Moné laughs at this idea that both of these losers want to come after her. But instead, how about the both of you face each other to then see who comes to face me at Grand Slam Australia? And so on Dynamite, this leads to a 20-minute time limit draw between Willow and Chris Statlander. Mercedes looking on impressed from the rampway, laughing about the fact that both of them couldn't even get the job done against each other. And for Tony Schiavone to stand up from the commentary desk to say, hey, I have an announcement from Tony Khan that at Grand Slam Australia, it'll be a triple threat between Mercedes Moné, Chris Statlander, and Willow Nightingale. But when we get to Grand Slam Australia, Chris and Willow keep getting at each other and getting each other's way when it comes to facing Mercedes, that during this triple threat, Mercedes is able to take advantage of them and their anger towards each other, using Chris's and Willow's feelings against each other to have them turn on each other mid-match and lose their focus on the title and have the focus then become about each other and their problems amongst each other. And through this chicanery, Willow Nightingale gets rolled up by Mercedes Moné, Mercedes gripping her tights, as tight as she can and rolling her as deep as she can to defend and keep the TBS title. Chris and Willow are beside themselves looking at Moné, and then they turn to look at each other out of anger, only knowing that they have each other to blame. Chris puts her hands up and backs off, and that's how this ends. But also, later in this evening, Mariah May defeats Toni Storm to defend her Women's World title when Athena, the former ROH Women's Champion, comes out on the stage to point her finger down and make her challenge for Mariah May's world title. In February on Dynamite, Renee hosts a sit-down between Willow and Chris, so that way they can talk about their issues, and Renee also has an announcement. But as Renee turns to ask Willow the first question, Chris interrupts and states, hey Willow, you were right. I didn't realize how deep I was in when it came to Stokely. Stokely was in my ear, riffing all these different ideas and things in my head, and that's him, and I'm not putting all the blame on him, because at the end of the day, when I won my title, I lost 2 friends in Julia and Sky Blue. And I thought I was going to lose you. And then when I lost my title, and you won it, it felt like I was losing you too because you didn't need me anymore. And I wanted to be by your side during your whole reign, having your back. Willow interrupts, I didn't know you felt that strongly, and I didn't know that's how you felt to begin with. I know that you were hurt by losing Sky and Julia, and those were my friends too. And I lost them too. I was grieving them in my own way. And I stood by your side in those battles. It was the two of us, the two Long Island girls, getting through it. And what stopped you from talking to me? I needed you to talk to me. And was what Stokely was saying that good enough that you couldn't come speak to me and tell me about it or talk to me if you needed something? Chris states back, it doesn't matter. I let my insecurities drive a wedge between us. And I listened to somebody I should have never listened to in the first place, while shutting out the one person I care about the most. When you became champ, you didn't need me or Stokely, and I knew you had it. And like I said, I wanted to have your back. And when I watched you against Monet, you were on fire. And I knew you were about to beat her. And I don't know why, but this jealousy brewed up in me. And I had to stop you. We had to stop you. We got in your way and we stopped you from beating Monet. And I should have never did that to you. You should have had the chance to beat her on your own, and you were going to beat her on your own. And I understand what that feels like now, challenging her 2 times in a row and not being able to beat her. I realized it after the first time of beating her, what you must have been experiencing during your match with her. And I needed to come apologize to you. That's why I showed up on Rampage, but I lost my words and I didn't know what to say in that moment. But being in front of you now, after losing to Monet a second time, I'm sorry. After losing to her at Grand Slam, that's not what I was trying to do. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get in your way. I was trying to prove something for myself, and once again, we bumped our heads. But Renee interrupts to state that, hey, I have an announcement actually about you two bumping heads, and due to the fact that you had a time limit draw, there's not been a determined winner this year between the two of you. We're going to have a ladder match to determine a number 1 contender for the TBS title at Revolution. And whoever wins this ladder match on Collision this Saturday will go on to face Monet at Revolution. So I wish you ladies the best of luck. Willow looks down to think about the words that Renee just stated, looks back up. You were the better woman in Chicago.
That's my bad boy.
When we last wrestled, we wrestled to a time limit draw. And for the last few matches we wrestled as enemies. I hope that in this ladder match on Saturday, I'll be wrestling with my friend Chris. We get to Collision on Saturday, and Willow and Chris have a hard-hitting ladder match that in the end, Willow is able to pull the contract down and advance towards Revolution to face Monet and getting her one-on-one match. Chris, teary-eyed, shaking her head in acknowledgement, giving her seal of approval to Willow that, hey, you did the thing. They shake hands and they hug after the match and finally embrace together. This leads us to Dynamite in March, where there's going to be a contract signing between Monet and Willow for their match at Revolution. But unlike their first contract signing, where after this was over and they had signed everything and a fight broke out, Willow got the best of Monet and powerbombed her through a table. Well, this time Monet will attack and take out Willow at the end of the contract signing in a reverse of fortunes. Willow is the one taken out at this contract signing when Sky Blue makes her return and saves Willow from further beat down at this. We get backstage and Sky Blue catches up with a injured, beat down Willow and states to Willow, hey, I know you've been hurt, and hurt not just by that attack out there, but hurt by me, hurt by Julia, hurt by a lot of the actions of your friends, and I can't change a lot about that, but what I can do is apologize for my part in that problem. Sky Blue apologizes to Willow, states that she's missed her and that she hopes that one day that Willow can forgive her. An injured and hurt Willow nods at her apology but walks off, not really giving an acknowledgement of how she feels about it any further past that point. But Willow's now geared up. She's ready for her one-on-one match with Mercedes Moné, and it's heated. There's a back and forth between the two. Moné has multiple opportunities where she thinks she's going to get Willow out of here, and Willow keeps fighting back, and in the end, Willow finally defeats Moné and reclaims her TBS title. Coming down to the ring is Chris to celebrate, but also Sky Blue to celebrate alongside with Willow. They all embrace together, and now you have the new TBS champion, Willow Nightingale, ready to kick off her title reign. But not only is she kicking off her title reign, she's able to now go backstage at the press conference, and at the press conference you got Sky Blue with her, you got Chris with her, they're all smiles, everybody's happy, she's got the belt, and she's got her friends too. Later that night at Revolution, Mariah May loses to Athena, and Athena becomes the new AEW Women's World Champion, advancing that part of the story for later. But now we look at Willow, and Willow has been able to exercise and work things out with her best friend Chris, and though they've had wars, they've not been able to come back together. Sky Blue breaking away from the haze and the mist and the heel persona she had taken on, and now coming back from her injury and reuniting with her friend Willow, giving Willow a few of the pieces back to her puzzle and giving her that TBS title and letting her kick off her full reign. That when we look at the last reign she had, she didn't really get to have a full title run with that, and so now she kicks off that title reign, moving forward with a defense against Julia Hart at Double or Nothing. This is a rematch of their Dynasty match that I was there for live, but this time Julia wants an Extreme Rules match in her shot against Willow for the TBS title, that Willow nonetheless defeats Julia in this rematch. This loss for Julia starts to form some cracks in her House of Black storyline and her eventual freedom, but we'll get to that later on. But later in the night at Double or Nothing, Athena shockingly loses her title to Mercedes Moné. Mercedes rebounding back at the next pay-per-view super fast to earn a women's world title shot, and then to cheat and get the win over Athena in this match to move forward. Leaves the women's world title scene a little in disarray, but that allows us to move forward to All In Texas in July, where in a rematch against her first title challenger, Willow Nightingale defeats Toni Storm at All In Texas July 12th, 2025, defeating somebody who she had never beaten before and had lost to at Forbidden Door 2 in 2023. Later that night in All In Texas, though, Mercedes Moné loses the Women's World title back to Athena, and Athena kicks off her big title reign moving forward. She had to jump through some hoops this last couple of months chasing Moné for the title, Moné doing what she can to evade and get away from Athena, with Athena having to go through the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament and win that to then get her shot at All In Texas against Moné, and she is successful in that shot and gets the world title back. But to jump back to Willow again, we're now at All Out with Willow, and Willow's now going into a fatal four-way match against Sky Blue, Julia Hart, and Chris Statlander. The four former friends all together, 3 friends and 1 enemy. Everybody wrestles their heart out in this match, and in the last minutes of the match, Willow is able to pin Julia Hart once again with the Dr. Bomb. This having an embrace with all 4 combatants after the match, with all of them hugging, almost in that same similar manner that the 4 Horsewomen hugged at NXT Brooklyn in 2015, but having them embrace each other, and this being the final moment that kicks off Julia's breakaway from the House of Black, and it reunites, in a sense, the 4 friends. This is the first embrace we've seen of them. in years, and it is the first time we've had all four of them together in the ring since that street fight on Rampage last year. So this is a match that's going to have a lot of emotional beats to it and a lot of callbacks to their friendships, but by the end of it, Willow still defends that belt, and then she moves on to Forbidden Door to face Azumi for the TBS title. And just after watching last night's Wrestle Kingdom, I just wanted to throw Azumi in this match because I thought Azumi did some great heel work, and to me, I was rooting for Azumi to win that match. And though Azumi won't win this match either, would love to see her live in America wrestling against Willow in that match. And so Willow defends the title against Azumi at Forbidden Door. This takes us to Wrestle Dream, where we have Jamie Hayter versus Willow Nightingale for the TBS title. Now, last year on Collision, we had for the qualifier for Wrestle Dynasty, it was Jamie Hayter versus Willow Nightingale. I want another rematch, but on pay-per-view, and I need them to get at least a solid 15, 16, 17 minutes and let these girls just run with it. And I think it'll be a great, phenomenal, hard-hitting match that, once again, my girl Willow will come out on top of. Jamie's already got a dub over Willow from the past. Willow's already got a dub over Jamie, so this will be the rubber match between the two of them. But I think they'll definitely have some more matches down the line too, so stay tuned for that. We're now in November 2025 at Full Gear, and to me, it's going to be Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale at the finals of the Eliminator Tournament. In history's past, there's been the men's Eliminator Tournament that usually ends at Full Gear. Well, this year, I want to give it to the ladies, and it's not going to be for a title shot at Winter is Coming, but it's going to be for a title shot at World's End. And in this clash, in this last finals match of the tournament, Willow defeats Mariah May. Willow losing to Mariah May in the finals of the Owen Hart Tournament in 2024. Willow losing to Mariah May at Wrestle Dream 2024 in that world title match. Well, the TBS title's not on the line, but Mariah May is going to get basically another crack at Willow, and Willow's going to come out on top over Mariah May this time. And in the promos leading up to this match, Mariah May is going to even be leaning on the fact that, hey, you've never been able to beat me. I've always had your number, and I'm going to have your number again, and then I'm going to get my world title back. Well, not today. Willow wins, and she advances forward to face Athena at World's End. And due to the fact that these are both two champions in this match, Athena puts her world title on the line, and Willow puts her TBS title on the line. A match for the ages that calls back to their ROH match, their first TV match that on the first TV that AEW owned ROH with. Athena and Willow wrestled, and it was for the title. Athena won then. It main evented the TV show. Then they main evented the first ever Death Before Dishonor with women main eventing that and made history with that. Willow lost due to referee stoppage. She passed out in submission hold. Well, this time, Willow is able to get the actual win over Athena, ends Athena's AEW Women's World Title reign. Athena acknowledges and celebrates Willow just like she did at the end of the Death Before Dishonor match. She does the same thing here. Lifts her hand up while Willow's holding the title, passes the torch to her, leaves the ring, and then we have an embrace where we have the ROH Women's World Champion Chris Statlander come down to the ring to hug Willow. We have Julia Hart in her new white gear coming down there to embrace, and then we also have Sky Blue coming down to embrace. Almost like that WrestleMania 20 feeling, but with four friends instead, and everybody being able to celebrate and be happy in this moment. Though Willow is the double champ now, Willow will have to relinquish that TBS title, and the tournament will be named after that to kick off 2026. And so Willow will have her reign as the top of the division as the Women's World Champion. Now, the video is about the journey to the top. I didn't book anything past that but one match and one match only. And it's because I foresee, and Tony Khan's already talked about taking All In back to London next year in 2026. Well, I see it being Willow Nightingale versus Jamie Hayter for the Women's World title. And in this match, Jamie Hayter finally reclaims the Women's World title by defeating and ending Willow Nightingale's title reign. So, but with that said, what do y'all think of that? How do y'all feel about some of the opponents I've picked? What do you think about some of the ways I've had her winning titles and some of the storyline implications I have coming out of different things? Comment below, let me know. Hit like, hit subscribe, share this video out. I'm very curious to know people's thoughts about it. This is definitely one of my favorite wrestlers, and so I'm locked in to see where Willow goes in 2025 and beyond. And so this is my head of the women's division, and so hey, I'm putting my money where my mouth is with Willow. But with that being said, I've got a best title wins of 2024 video coming up, and I'm thinking some new videos that will be coming out for Graps Theory. So hey, drop what you want to see coming out on this channel below. Give me some new video ideas, and I'll have some stuff cranking out for you in the future. But keep it tuned. Peace and chicken grease, and I'll see you on the other side.